if you haven't watched Jim Staley's videos about Purim, you really should, because he's got some incredible insight into this festival. And one of the things he talks about is the parallels between. So I'm going to read just a few of the parallels that Jim Staley has found in the story of Purim. And let me just read them to you because they're incredible. So King Ahasuerus represents the great King Yahweh, okay? Queen Vashti represents disobedient Israel who despises Yahweh's royal law and does things her own way. Who does that sound like? Who does that sound like? Despises the law and does things her own way. So Queen Vashti's own party in her own palace represents rebellious Israel, throwing her own feast instead of attending Yahweh's feasts. So she's called to come actually on the 7th day of the banquet, and she won't come. Yeah, isn't that amazing? So Vashti is actually called, rebellious Israel is called to come on the 7th day of his feast, and she won't come. Sounds like a lot of people I know who will not show up to Shabbat, and they want to do things their own way. They want to keep Sunday instead of Shabbat. And the king is asking us to keep Shabbat and show up on Shabbat. And so much of scattered Israel is in Christianity, and they snub their nose at Yahweh's 7th day command, and they will not show up. This is rebellious Israel. The request of the king for Vashti to appear before his guests represent Yahweh's desire to show his bride, Israel, and the splendor that he gave her. Okay, so a king wants to show off his splendor. He's going to show off his queen. He's going to show the nations what he has adorned his queen with. You know, all the diamonds and the rubies and the pearls and all the sparkly stuff and everything that he's lavished on her. He wants to show that off to the nations to say, look what kind of king I am. Look at my generosity. Look at how I adorn my queen. You know, that's his splendor, is his queen. Not himself, but his queen. And she won't allow the king to show her off. And I just want you to know that my idea and understanding of all of this has changed over the course of the years, because I didn't realize this before. A lot of Purims that we threw, I had different understanding of Queen Vashti's role in this. But when I heard Jim Staley's 2014 video teaching on Purim, I was incredibly moved and thought, wow, I mean, he has eyes, he had eyes to see and ears to hear, and I was still lacking, and now I have those same eyes, so I want to share them with my audience. So here we go. The 7 advisors or wise men to the king. So they represent the 7 spirits of Yahovah that are near to the throne. The wise men knew the king's law and how to interpret it. They had access to the king. And so those wise men that were around the king, the advisors who were advising him throughout the course of all this different things that were happening in the story, they had access to the king. They had access to the king. And so this represents the idea that to have access to the king, to Yahweh, we must know his law, and we must know how to interpret his law. So what more do I say? That's so cool. If you want access to the king, you must know his law, and you must know how to interpret his law.